everyone, my name is Chloe, and today I'm here to do May in and out. So if you guys have not seen one of these videos, what I do is tell you everything that I'm hauling for the month, as well as everything that I'm unhauling. And in prior years, I've always made it a goal to unhaul more than I'm hauling, but I'm not doing that this year. This year, whatever it is what it is. I don't even care. Where did I get all these books, you ask? Well, I went to a library book sale recently, and that is not where these books are from. I have a whole separate video coming for my library book sale haul, but our library does have like a permanent bookstore, a Friends of the Library bookstore in it, and so some came from there. Some came from Pango, because you guys, if you have a Pango bookstore and you're running some sort of deal where I either get a certain amount off or free shipping, I will buy a bundle, because I don't know why. It's like the FOMO, and I mean, I understand that I'm spending more money, but I feel like I'm saving money. And so that happened, and book of the month. So a variety of sources. So let's just get into it. So I was going to go by genre, but I'm going to just go by age range. So, because we've got, in some loosely genre, but I've got some adult stuff, some middle grade stuff, some nonfiction, and one Christmas book. So let's just get into it. So the first one is Jill Mansell, Head Over Heels. And her books are so big, and sometimes I love them, sometimes I don't. So I'm a little nervous about this one, but it says, welcome to Jill Mansell's wonderful world. 1, an unexpected reunion between 2 former lovers changes both their families forever. 2, old friendships fade and new ones blossom as neighbors begin to see one another in a new light. And 3, a young woman finally asks for what she really wants. A young man atones for bad behavior, and both find that courage brings its own rewards. Plus surprises, companionships, crossed wires, and self-discovery in a new story that will leave you completely satisfied and begging for more. So that doesn't tell me much about the plot, but hers are always fun, chick-lit, cute, like kind of spring, summer reads. And I felt like this one was one that I needed to complete a Pango bundle. So here we are. This is this one. So if you've read this one, let me know. It looks like it's got decently short chapters. There's 71 chapters in 475 pages. So that's not bad. Next is Kristen Hanna's Angel Falls. And I don't know how, I thought I owned all of Kristen Hanna's like backlist, and I don't. This is one that I did not own, and it was at our library bookstore. So let's see. Michaela Campbell falls into a coma. It's up to her husband, Liam, to hold the family together and care for their grieving, frightened children. Doctors tell Liam not to expect a recovery, but he believes that anything is possible, no matter what medical science says. Day after day, he sits at Michaela's bedside, telling her stories of their life, hoping she'll wake up. Desperate to bring her back, Liam turns to her ex-husband for help. So we'll see. I am going to pause this real quick because I don't know if you can hear. There's piano practice going on in the background. Hold on one second. Okay, so next is A World Away, and this is by Nancy Grossman, and this is A Summer of Firsts, A Summer of Goodbyes, A Summer of Impossible Choice. So this is a YA, I believe, about a 16-year-old girl, Amish girl, who learns that her close-knit family who leaves her close-knit family to spend the summer as a nanny in Chicago. And that's like really all I need to know. I think there's probably going to be a little bit of a romance. These are cute. And I feel like the wholesomeness of Amish fiction sometimes just is what I need. So pick this up. Next is one that I have been wanting to read for a long time, and I finally got it, and that's The Pull of the Stars by Emma Donoghue. So for some reason, this did not connect in my head that this is Emma Donoghue who wrote Room until I literally saw it on here. I did not love Room, but this one is about, so it's Dublin, 1918. Oh, something just fell out. This is a Pango. Oh, somebody maybe got it for her from Amazon, or I don't know. But anyway, Three days in a maternity ward at the height of the Great Flu, a small world of work, risk, death, and unexpected love by the best-selling author of The Wonder in Room. So this is in Ireland during the Spanish flu, I believe, and it's a maternity ward, and it sounds really, really, really interesting to me. Really probably a little dark, a little heavy, but sounds interesting. Next is one that I honestly don't remember, except that it filled out my Pango order. So The Other Me by Saskia Sargensen. Sometimes it's the people we think we know the best who surprise us the most. So 1986 in London, Claudia is about to start high school. She's embarrassed by her German father. He's the janitor at her school. He has a funny accent and a limp. And when the kids at school taunt her by saying that he was a Nazi, she can't dispute them with confidence. So that's really interesting. 1995 in Leeds, Eliza is in love. She has dropped out of university to pursue her passion, which is dance. But then talented artist Cosmo comes along, and soon Eliza realizes that she might have room in her life for two loves. But can she really continue to lie to everyone around her, and why is she so afraid of the truth? And then 1930s in Germany, two brothers are trying to fend for themselves during the chaos of the Third Reich's rise to power. One brother rallies for the Fuhrer, one holds back. One is seemingly good, one bad. But history tells a completely different story. The fates all collide. So this sounds really interesting. I love multiple timelines and multiple perspectives. And we get that. And I like that it has like little reminders of the time and place, because sometimes I need that. And so, yeah, this sounds really, really good. Next are my book of the month. So I've actually been skipping book of the month quite a bit lately because I haven't had anything that I feel like I have to own. But this time there was. So The Last Word by Taylor Adams. So Taylor Adams is known for kind of short-term, really fast-paced thrillers. So this one I think takes place over a short period of time, like maybe a weekend or a day or something. But somebody is reading a horror book and does not like it. And so at the end, she posts a review, a very negative review. And the author comments and says, like, hey, take your review down. And she says no. And so then he comes after her. And I've heard mediocre things about this, but it sounds like very meta to read like a horror thriller about a horror writer. And I've heard the like end, the acknowledgments is funny. Let's see what it says. I don't know. Something about Taylor Adams, like, I won't come after you. But also a good reminder, don't ever tag authors in negative reviews. So, sounds really interesting. I've heard it is very fast-paced, similar to No Exit and all that kind of stuff. I did not read Hairpin Bridge because I've heard such terrible things, especially if you liked No Exit. So let me know if I should read that one, but I will read this one next. And then last from Book of the Month is True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. So this one I think is this like follow-up kind of to The Soulmate Equation, but I've heard you don't have to read The Soulmate Equation to read this one. However, I want to read The Soulmate Equation, so maybe I will anyway. A romance novelist and a documentary filmmaker join forces to craft the perfect Hollywood love story, but only if they can keep the chemistry between them from taking the whole thing off script. So she is a romance novelist with a bunch of bestsellers. She hasn't practiced what she preached. So she says, live your life like a romance novel, but she hasn't been in love. So then Connor is a documentary filmmaker and a single dad, which I love single dads. I love single dad stories, you know. He loves his work because it allows him to live near his daughter. But when his profit-minded, goodness, you guys, can you tell I've got like a head cold? When his boss orders him to create a reality TV show, he's out of his element and concerned for his reputation. So he needs to find a hook that will set his project apart. So they come together for like a dating show. So it sounds interesting. And she's kind of chunky, about 400 pages, but it sounds good. Sounds really good. Oh, more than 400 pages. My thing was tucked, but not much more. So sounds good. Let me know if I need to read The Soulmate Equation first, but I don't think I do. And then we've got our Christmas book. So my husband saw this and he said, there's a Debbie McComber Christmas book you don't own? Yes, Dear Santa. And it says a new Christmas novel. I'm not sure what new means per se, but definitely not super new, but well, and the pages are stuck together, so I can't even tell you. 2020, I think. 2020. Anyway, so Dear Santa, this is a special holiday wish list, brings about hope, love, and second chances in this nostalgic novel from the Queen of Christmas Stories. Lindy isn't feeling particularly joyful when she returns home to Washington for Christmas. The man she thought was the one cheated on her with her best friend, Ike's. and she feels completely devoid of creativity in her graphic design job, etc., etc. Reading through a box of childhood letters to Santa and reminiscing about what she'd wished for as a young girl, maybe just the inspiration Lindy needs. So this sounds really good. And I have heard, like, I think I was listening to a podcast or something, and they were like, if you're in a rut, imagine what your childhood self would have done or wanted to do or whatever, and let that like guide your life. What would you do if you didn't have to? All that kind of stuff. So sounds interesting. Next is middle grade. So I have 3 middle grade, and the first one is The Infinity Year of Avalon James by Dana Middleton. So this is Avalon James and Atticus Brightwell have a secret, one that they aren't allowed to discuss with anyone. This secret is shared between 2 best friends. When you and your best friend turn 10 years old, magical things are said to happen. You both will receive some kind of magical power. It can be a power you can call on time and time again, or it can be a power that comes once when you need it most. It's your infinity year, and the possibilities are endless. So, sounds good. Next is Quinny and Hopper. And I think this is the start of a series. I hope it's the first. I don't actually know. Quinny has a lot to say. Hopper gets to the point. Quinny has one speed, very, very extra, very fast. Hopper proceeds with caution. Quinny has big ideas. Hopper has smart solutions. Quinny and Hopper couldn't be more different, but they're an unstoppable team. But when summer ends, things suddenly aren't the same. Can Quinny and Hopper stick together in the face of stylish bullies, a killer chicken, and the brand new 3rd grade rules, especially the one that says they aren't allowed to be friends anymore? So boy-girl relationship dynamics sounds interesting as kids grow up. And then the last one is, last middle grade, is this Young Survivors of the Titanic. So I've heard about this Young Survivor series, and I, like, especially as a kid, was, like, oddly obsessed with the Titanic. And so this is about a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, and an 11-year-old. And yeah, these and other young people came from many walks of life. Now, on the night of April 14th, 1912, they all faced life or death crisis aboard the Titanic. Can they survive? So, sounds good. These are all ones that I think are a little bit old for my daughters now, but maybe I'll read them or just keep them on my shelf until they're old enough. And then the last group is nonfiction. So we've got I'd Rather Be Reading by Anne Bogle. And this is a podcast, I think, right? And it's just like, I just thought it would be a cute book to like maybe display on this crazy mess of shelves. But it's just a book for readers, I think. Reading isn't just a way to pass the time, it's a lifestyle. And boy, ain't that the truth. So that's good. And then the Read Aloud Family. This is another one that I have heard a lot about by Sarah McKenzie, making meaningful and lasting connections with your kids. So you guys know that we are a big read aloud family, and so I've heard this is just really good and inspiring, and again, reminds you of the importance of reading aloud to your kids. And I think this is also a podcast. Am I right? I don't know. So those are all my hauls. Now let's get into the unhauls. Okay, so there are not as many, but there are quite a few. So we've got Major Pettigrew's Last Stand by Helen Simonson. So I read this because I am a part of a group, Angie from Angie Henderson or Science Mama. She has both channels. She has a group on Discord, and so the month of April, maybe it was, you pick 3 pastel books, and you have a partner in there that picks which one to read. So this is what it was, and I DNF'd it at 25% because I think I have determined that I just don't like kind of slow books about older characters. This one is about Major Pettigrew. It's very similar to Eleanor Oliphant or A Man Called Uva, and I didn't like either of those, so enough for that. Then we've got I Let You Go by Claire McIntosh. This one I had really high expectations for. It is about a 5-year-old boy who's involved in a hit and run. He is killed in front of his mother as they're walking home from school. And it follows the person who was driving the car. And she runs away, and so we kind of follow her. And I really wanted the mother's perspective. There's a romance between her and somebody, as well as we get the perspective of the cop trying to figure it all out and his gross romance, and I just didn't like this at all. Next is The Wedding Veil by Christy Woodson Harvey. So this one was fine. This is present day in 1914 about a wedding veil that in 1914 it was a part of the Vanderbilt family and in Biltmore Estate. And then in present day somehow Julia Baxter, her wedding veil looks very similar and maybe the same, and how are they connected? This does give some historical context to the Biltmore estate and kind of what happened to it that I didn't know about, but overall it was kind of boring for me. Next is Then She Found Me by Eleanor Littman, actually. And this one is about a woman who she's like fully grown. She was adopted as a child, and her adoptive parents have died now. And her biological mother comes back into the picture and says, like, I want to be your mom. And she's like, what? It's okay. These two I actually did not read. These are two Debbie Macomber books. This Fallen Angel is one of her really old ones, if you can tell by the cover. Just a Debbie Macomber romance that I'm not really interested in and don't need to hold on to. This is a bind-up of Shadow Chasing and For All My Tomorrows. I really don't like reading from these bind-ups. And again, Debbie Macomber is really good for short, classic, kind of cheesy romance, if you would. And I'm just not in the mood for that lately, so I'm going to let these go. And then the last one that I'm unhauling is The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz. So this one I read recently, and it had good atmosphere. It is about a writing retreat, as you might guess. Our main character gets an invitation to this like horror thriller author. She's hosting a retreat, and it's an all women, like 5 women or something, that go, and they have a month to write a novel. And the winner gets like this $1 million publishing deal or whatever. So they get there and sinister things start happening. It's really sketchy, and all of them stay, despite the fact that they it doesn't appear that they have to. And we get a lot of like erotic dreams from our main character that I felt were very unnecessary and off-putting. And the atmosphere is good, but there is also a story within a story. Like we get the story that she's writing, and I don't really like that trope. I just didn't feel a lot of the tension. I didn't care for this story. So this one is going to go. So that is my in and out for the month. If you are interested in any of these that I'm unhauling, or any others, I have an overwhelming amount on my Pango bookstore. And so I've got a couple sales going, and I may even bump them down even more because I've got now quite a few books sitting here in this room that need to go. So let me know if you have read any of the ones I hauled and if there's any I should prioritize. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.